Good morning, Dan and Amy. The CDC has recorded a total of 20 COVID-19 deaths in children aged 5 to 14.
Across the country?
Yes, total. Total, 20 deaths in children aged 5 to 14 compared to almost 2,000 deaths in the same age group from non-COVID causes during the same time period. In other words, children have been 100 times more likely to die from non-COVID causes during the pandemic than from COVID. This puts the risk of COVID death for children 5 to 14 in the same ballpark as deaths by lightning. And yet, we're not supposed to send the kids back to school, according to the teachers' unions and some lockdown Lucy's in public office around the country.
Lockdown Lucy.
Or
I mean,
lockdown
parents
Lori,
should demand
if you
that their
prefer.
kids go back to school.
For more on the topic of educating children, their public health, their social and intellectual development versus the fear that has gripped so many teachers and that is being promulgated by so many politicians. We're pleased to be joined by Paul Vallas, former superintendent of the Bridgeport Public Schools and the Recovery School District of Louisiana, former CEO of both the School District of Philadelphia and the Chicago Public Schools, and former budget director for the city of Chicago, as well as, of course, a 2019 mayoral candidate. Things could have been different.
I know. I think about what could have been.
Paul Vallas, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So the Chicago Teachers Union, in conjunction with the city, are they making the right call with this sort of hybrid learning program, hybrid school day program that they have published, they have put forward?
Well, quite frankly, I'm not sure they know what they're doing. The hybrid thing is going to be very confusing. Let me tell you this. Look, we want to make sure that our schools are absolutely safe, but the idea that they really haven't spent the summer preparing to reopen, and I talked to some members of the Chicago Teachers Union who said they haven't been training over the summer on remote learning. They claim they're doing the remote learning themselves. You would think that actually since March, when they shut schools down, that they would start preparing and training on how to create a synchronous remote learning program where students could either be in school or be at home, but be learning live, visually, where there's a visual teacher, where there's that type of interaction. But there hasn't been any preparation. And with the audacity of the National Teachers Union to literally say it's fair to strike if you feel your schools are unsafe. Let me make a couple comments about safety. And I want to say, well, the bottom line is this. If they are going to not open school, or if there's going to be great resistance to reopening school, I'd say it's time to give people choice. Let people decide. Let schools decide on their own with parent input from those communities, obviously guided by the science, because the science says that you can't open schools if you take certain precautions. But why not give people's choice? Why not let all the schools be open enrollment? Why not lift the cap on charters that prevents charters from enrolling additional students? Nationally, the charters were far better prepared to reopen than the traditional public schools. 83% of them had online, effectively managed synchronous instruction within the first 6 weeks of the closures. But yet they're capped in some states. They're not being allowed to open if the public schools can open. Why not give people a voucher and let people send their kids to broker or private schools? Or why not give parents that want to bring their students together in these education pods and in these micro schools where they can be gathered together and supervised because parents have to go to work? Why not give them the subsidies to do it? Or why not give parents the money or share the money and allow them to hire tutors? The bottom line is, if it's a whole new world. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the existing teacher contracts are irrelevant given the fact that they're not designed for a COVID world where everybody's learning remotely.
Paul, do you honestly think that teachers are going to go back to school in the fall, even for?
No, they're not. They're not going to go back to school. And look, the districts, or many districts, bear a big part of the problem because they haven't been spending the summer preparing. They haven't been preparing for even high-quality remote instruction. So that's why I'm saying give parents a choice. And let me tell you, there are things that they could have been doing in addition to the general things. For example, you can purchase not only masks, but you can purchase shields that can protect the kids, and you can purchase plexiglass shields, dividers that can, in effect, physically isolate every class and every teacher's desk. You can use ultraviolet lamp technology
to do disinfecting. Yeah, but I want to just hold it there, because I refuse to start from premises unless we understand why we're even advocating what you're advocating. If you want to, if you're going to advocate it based on people are fearful and this makes them comfortable, that's one thing. But it has nothing to do with science. You just heard the statistics on children's deaths of children 5 to 14 from COVID-19 nationally. Transmission from children to adults, rare. Switzerland, including a review of by the World Health Organization, failed to find evidence of a single case of a child passing coronavirus to an adult. A comprehensive study in Iceland isolated COVID-19 samples from every positive case, sequenced the virus genome, tracked the mutation patterns, and study concluded even if children do get infected, they are less likely to transmit the disease to others than adults. We have not found a single instance of a child infecting parents. New Zealand conducted a study across 15 schools in which 18 individuals were in close contact with 735 other students, 18 individuals COVID positive, and 128 staff members, yet no teacher or staff member contacted COVID-19 from any of the initial 18 individual cases, and only 2 students out of the 735 other students would later test positive. I mean, don't tell me this is about, I want to teach, but I don't want to die. Nonsense.
Dan, I hope you're not debating me on this.
No, I know. I just want to establish it. I just want to establish the baseline.
Well, here's the statistics for you, Dan. Through July, I think it was July 9th, I posted on this. Through July 9th, there were 4 COVID-linked deaths of individuals under the age of 20. Now, look, every life is important, and the issue of transmitting to adults obviously always needs to be a concern. But the point is there are procedures that could have been taken and that should be taken to make schools safe and secure. But the bottom line is COVID and the remote learning and the post-COVID world, or the new normal, in which things are going to be dramatically different. The bottom line is, why can't people be given a choice? Why can't people?
I agree.
Yeah, we need school choice.
And there's and there's $10 billion in what the Republicans have advanced in terms of COVID relief. Out of the $105 billion they've allocated for school reopenings for school choice, $10,000 scholarships. So that's a start. But I could, we're in complete agreement about that.
Dan, here's a statistic that should infuriate people. Let's take the Chicago schools. 54% of people's property taxes, $7.7 billion budget, 54% of your property taxes, 25% of all the state aid, 40% of all the Title I poverty funds, and the COVID-19 relief money. And incidentally, they got $205 million, and they're probably going to get $400 million more in the next round. Okay, it's all that money going to the schools, yet the schools have been closed since March. The schools may not open until well into the school year.
Right.
And trust me, if they don't open well in the school year and there's an adult spike or there continues to be high numbers, they may keep them closed indefinitely. And then we're going to continue to get this poor, unacceptable remote learning. So the bottom line here is this. I agree with you. You can protect schools. You can make sure that the kids can return safely. There is the technology to spend and the money to spend with the federal government providing the money. I mean, Pritzker didn't even cut funding for public education, despite the fact that schools have been closed since March, and the state is in a huge budget crisis. So at the end of the day, there is no excuse for not opening. But clearly, if they're not going to open, I think I think they should allow schools to make those choices individually, and I think parents should be allowed to decide how their kids should be educated, whether it's parochial, private, public, whether it's there's online education providers that provide far superior online education than the traditional schools. Or if parents want to create these pods, these learning pods, these micro schools where their kids can go well supervised, learning remotely while they go to work, and that means poor parents too, because I heard the argument, and here's an argument. There was an argument in one of these publications, and I was listening to it on talk radio. It was on the other side of the spectrum, and they were saying that learning pods were inequitable.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
They were inequitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, parents shouldn't be allowed to they have learning pods, because there are some parents who can't afford to have learning pods, that may not have the sophistication. Well, then I say help the poor parents have learning pods too.
Right.
Because fewer than 20%.
Or here's an idea: open the schools. I
Yes.
mean, it's just right. The idea. I mean, it's hilarious. Wait. It's hilarious to listen to the left talk about how the poor are disproportionately impacted by the policies they're advocating.
Dan, I agree with you. Get them foggers, get the UV lamps that kill all the pathogens. You won't have kids getting the flu if you have those type of devices, and they are safe. But let me point out, it's likely not going to happen, and the politics isn't going to allow it to happen, even probably in a lot of these red states. So I'm saying, if you're not going to do it, then give parents choices. Give parents
Absolutely.
choices. Let parents decide. Period.
Absolutely. So tell me this: you're mayor of Chicago. What do you do right now in the face of this opposition? Personnel as policy. If you were there, would you replace the CPS board? Would you replace Janice Jackson? Would you? Obviously, you'd use the leverage of your bully pulpit to make the arguments you're making to us. What else can be done on behalf of Chicago public school parents?
Well, first of all, the mayor's office controls the board.
Right.
So they can tell the schools exactly what to do. But what I would certainly do is to basically say that parents should have the choice. Parents should have choices. If the union doesn't want to send their workers back to school, and I would make sure that every classroom had a UV lamp, that you don't have to keep on when the kids are there, although they are safe. And I would make sure that you would be double down on the cleanup and sanitation by using foggers. And here's a real number for you. For a school of 500, it costs $25,000 not only to mask, but to give kids screens, and not only that, but have the plexiglass screenings around every classroom and in front of every desk. $25,000 for school 500. You know how much a school 500 gets in Chicago? $7 million
Right.
plus.
Wow.
So the bottom line is, I would have made sure that schools would have been prepared, and I would have made sure that if you're going to have remote learning for kids who are sick or have to be quarantined or whatever, it would be synchronous, meaning you could tune into that classroom. Because in 1967, when I was a freshman at Fenger High School, we had a student who had spinal bifida. She had to learn from home, and this is 1967 with no video, social media, anything like that. Wow. And she was tuned in. So she could listen into the classroom and she could participate. I mean, there's no reason why every class can't be virtual.
What about the teachers union? Even if you did all the things you said and they were still unwilling to come back, can you obviate their contract for violating the CBA? Can you RIF teachers? I mean, there has to be an ability to impose punishment for those that are unreasonable and not abiding the terms of their engagement, their employment engagement.
Well, one would think that there is kind of an act of God provision, disaster provision in any contract.
Force majeure,
because
right.
That contract, and I'm not talking about people that teach the pay raises not coming. Well, you come to work, you get paid. But at the end of the day, if I decided as the mayor to direct that schools be open, and the mayor has that type of authority, look, the mayor has the authority to quarantine people coming from Idaho and
93 deaths.
And Iowa, thank God, we're being protected from those states from coming back, from coming to Chicago. But look, you don't come to work, you don't get paid. It's as simple as that.
There you go.
And because I don't think there's a provision in there. If there's not a provision allowing the mayor to make adjustments in the contract for COVID-19, then there shouldn't be provisions in there that can protect individuals in COVID-19. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't come to school, you don't come to pay. I'm not aware of any provision in the contract that says you must pay teachers to if they refuse to come to school, because of some sort of viral infection. I don't know where there's a structure and they're applying. Applicable to that.
No work, no pay. What a revolutionary concept. He is Paul Vallas, the former budget director for the city of Chicago and former head of the Chicago public school system, mayoral candidate in 2019 as well. Maybe 2023 again. Paul Vallas. No.
Paul.
Paul Vallas, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Lou Dobbs. ExxonMobil planning spending cuts and layoffs. Dunkin' Donuts set to close 800 stores across the country. And Tyson Foods stepping up its China virus testing. Those stories next. I was talking with Dr. McQuillan from Omega XL about some aches and some pains I've been having. She said whether it's your back, knee, neck, or shoulder pain, the cause is likely inflammation. She said you have to defeat inflammation to stop the pain. And she said if you don't, it can cause permanent damage. Omega XL is designed to attack the inflammation that causes pain. Pain relievers and topicals just mess the problem. Omega XL works to neutralize the inflammation that causes painful, stiff joints and muscles. The doctor also told me with my prescription pad, I can't